Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call Tuesday, October 6th meeting to session. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we're ahead of schedule already. I'm looking at the schedule and it says 6:05, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, sorry.
No, to approve it.
Approve, and accept it.
Okay. Second, Lori?
Sure.
All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Greg? Second, Mike? All in favor? 5-0. Awesome. President's report at this point, I don't think I have a lot right now. So, is anyone else? Board of Education reports.
I don't have a report, but I have a comment. Thrilled to see that our athletic teams are up and running. I know there's a lot of new procedures and policies in place in order for our student athletes to maintain healthy and well. And I know our athletic department is working extremely hard, and our coaching staff is working extremely hard, and our students are doing a great job. So let's keep our fingers crossed and go Rangers.
If you haven't had a chance, you gotta go see the kind of, I mean, the road work and the sidewalks, all look nice that were done, but you gotta go see the tennis court. They did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah.
They look great.
Good to see them out there.
So actually, it was a great thing along that line, Greg, was when we left the equity meeting and we saw the girls tryouts for soccer and actually saw kids on the field. That was a great thing to see.
Absolutely.
Kevin, I'll report that I attended the Monroe County School Board Association's Fall Law Conference, a very good conference. Presentations on some new Title IX regs, compensatory services, and some employment practices about COVID. It was very informative and very well done.
Where was it?
It was at the double.
Oh, here it comes.
So, were you also signed up for the one that's associated with the NISBA?
Yes, it's coming up in a couple weeks.
Okay, great. Look forward to hearing how they contrast, how they compare to each other. I'm always impressed with what Monroe County does
Absolutely.
and
We did a
curious
good
to
job.
see what the state will do. What did we have a speaker there? What
We
was?
did, we had Mr. Lingard with the speaker there, as well as one of her colleagues.
So it must have been an incredible event.
It was a very good event.
Okay, thank you. So I look forward to seeing the results of that and how you're going to help us out with that knowledge. Okay, anyone else?
Our day was Tuesday, Wednesday, with Rick. I'm sure you'll hear about it. His forthcoming presentation. It was it's all positive, so very pleased.
We're good.
Good. Okay.
Was, am I there? Good.
Yeah, so the next thing that was the voting member for the resolutions. Yeah. So, oh. Okay, so we haven't reviewed it. So at our next meeting, after, so I will send out a copy of the NISBA resolution. This doesn't mandate a vote from us. It's, if there's any disagreement with the resolutions, I'll make sure I forward those resolutions out. If there's any disagreement or any comments on how you feel we ought to vote as a district, please let me know. Normally, we do this a week before, but I guess since no one was attending the meeting, I didn't put a lot of thought into the resolutions, but I will be attending the resolutions meeting. So please look through those, see if there's anything that stands out, if there's anything that you're in disagreement with. So if there is an opportunity to modify or change something, I'll have an idea of where everyone is. In past, Lori, we've had conversations about all the resolutions. Typically, there's as many as 20 resolutions that define the direction that NISBA is going in with policy procedures and how they're going to stand for us. So I'll forward those on. Okay, now I'm done, Dan.
All right.
It's you.
Well, Mr. Michelli already alluded to the audit committee being pretty strong. Before Rick presents on the allocation of the reserves and also the external audit, just want to say that Nicole and together with Rick have been a great team. Our audits have been very smooth these last couple of years and a little bit different than where we were in the past. So thanks for all your work, Rick. And you provided the information in news and notes last week, and you have the board packet. So I think there's not a lot to share. But
Not really, but not only in addition to Nicole, but the rest of the business office team, really, it's a bunch of experienced individuals who really know what to look for, that really provides us with, honestly, some excellent audits over the last few years. So kudos to all of them, and thank you again. So this is always a chicken or the egg. Do we approve and acknowledge the audit, or do we approve the fund balance allocation first? We've chosen to do the fund balance first because by doing this, that's already included in the audit. So that being said, the recommendation is in front of you. They all fall within the recommended, what you approved in June. The focus is really on replenishing the reserves that we use operationally year in and year out. Probably the most discussion that you may want to have or not is how to really, or whether you want to fully fund the capital reserve for building projects. That's not what I've chosen to do, and that's not my recommendation. My recommendation is to put $100,000 into the technology and classroom equipment, because we use that on a more regular basis, but specifically it helps us with our one-to-one initiative. And then the balance of a little over $110,000 into the capital reserve for building projects. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions you may have. Mike, if you have anything to offer from the audit committee that I may have missed.
So part of the discussion is occurred at the audit committee meeting. We allocated a certain amount of funds for audit reserves, for a bunch of this calendar year. Right. And we'll put that on that plus some. This was a testament to the great job that Rick did, but I also want to point out that when everything went not well in March, Rick and Dan were got together and said, okay, we're done spending money, and we basically stopped all spending. And that's kind of what allowed us to come out with the surplus. You know, surplus is the sorry. So I mean, that's just one thing to bear in mind. We have the surplus in part because we didn't spend any money in will be the spring. And sooner or later, we're going to start spending money again. So I wholly agree with Rick about putting money into the technology fund, because technology is going to be our friend, and going to be our necessity probably next year.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
So, big picture stuff. Yeah. Things worked out really well.
I also agree with technology. With what we're up against now, is that's the best set there. But also, didn't one of the governor's executive orders give some leeway about how fund transfers could occur?
It did, not specific. It didn't give a lot of specifics to it, but yes, that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, but right now, I don't think we're in that situation where we need to start juggling that, but it's something that if we get more mid-year cuts, then we might have to think about that.
So as a tangential topic to this exact thing we're discussing, we're going to allocate $110,000 to the capital project fund. Cyclically, we learned that we want to be in capital projects, and we want to spend this money, both improve our district, and as well as there's certain tax cap reasons why we want to do this. So this is something, 2021 is our next project, something that this board and administration needs to start considering. And how we're going to do that, how we're going to fund it. and what we need to do. And being, I've gone to the buildings, I've seen buildings, and so there's no shortage of opportunities for us. But it's something that, despite all this stuff going on, we can start planning for the future. Just throw it out there.
Rick and I actually talked about that today, but going back to our meeting with Dr. Tim and really thinking about the long-range planning and the reserve plan. So we do got to go back to that. So we're going to be bringing that back to you probably in November, or December, and revisiting that because, again, our approach has been to fully fund through reserves. And in order to do the size projects we've been doing, you got to have somewhere between $3 and $4 million to do a $12 million project. That 100 so thousand only puts us at just short of $1 million right now in reserve. So if this was a 3-year cycle coming up this year, we really only have enough for about a $4 or $5 million project. Right now, if we were to use that method or going out to the public for a vote on a project as a separate increase. So we really got to think about what's the big picture, where does the board want to go with that? The conversation with Rick Coons, I think, is important because it brings us back to the tax cap piece. And do we do something this upcoming year to start planning for it to keep that tax cap in check? Even if it is a small project, and then talk big picture, what are the, even having a visionary committee instead of just a facilities task force next time, like what does that look like? So we do got to go back to that, but if you remember, we got interrupted with a couple things in March, right in the middle of what we were doing good work on, and we got to go back to that. So I just wanted to bring that up tonight to know that Rick and I have already mapped out some of the meetings coming up later this fall and into the winter to do that. That's a good point, Mike. Thank you. You guys hear me in this thing? I can't hear myself.
So do I have a motion to approve the allocation of the 2019-20 fund balance and reserves?
Make a motion to approve what Kevin said.
Okay, fine. And Greg, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. And then really it's Rick jumping right over to the external audit. So,
Yeah, and again, obviously it's a pretty large document. There's a ton of financial information in there. In general, Tom Zuber, when he came in and spoke to the audit committee, he sort of focused on the MD&A portion of it, because that's really a quick glance of what's happened throughout the year, specifically as it relates to factors bearing on the district's future. He wanted to make sure that he pointed that out. Big picture, we received more revenues than what we had projected. We spent less than what we had approved. That created a fund balance, which you guys just approved. There were very few findings. As a matter of fact, there were no findings in the current year as it relates to what their sample size was. So again, I'll open it up to any questions you have, but it was a really good audit. And again, that's just a testament to the business office staff and the work they do day in and day out.
I just say the audit, no surprises. We heard about the same things that we heard about for years, a lot of discussion at school lunch, a couple other things related to Gatsby. I mean, honestly, if anyone has any further questions, I'm sure Rick could read all 74 pages to us right now.
Any takers?
I appreciate everyone. So one of the comments that we've heard in the past is it seems like our board meetings are very short conversations about very deep subjects. And I want to thank everyone for wading through the 74-page document and the questions that were proposed in advance. So we don't have to spend a lot of time here in this meeting talking about that. So with that, do I have a motion to acknowledge the external audit? Lori and Mike, and all in favor? 5-0.
Thank you.
That was almost. And is there any
I have
questions?
one question. Rick. We already accepted. It's more, is the software suite that you use to compare districts and their financial positions, what is that called again? You know?
Yes, all right.
what you just said.
Okay.
Forecast 5 have, when they switched over our ledger to look like more like a corporation,
Mhm.
and we started inheriting our pension liabilities as a liability on our ledger. Is that information included for all the districts in forecast 5?
I know Forecast 5 has the balance sheet information.
So we'll have that.
I don't know if it has that specifically, because the balance sheet is more, remember, during the audit committee meeting, Tom Zuber, our external auditor, lead auditor, he spoke about the operational or book style versus the corporate style. Corporate style is what Mike's referring to, where you're showing the actual OPEB liability, which essentially creates more liability than asset. That's a little bit different, Mike. I don't know, but I can certainly check and put that in news and notes.
I mean, just for future discussions, the question invariably is going to come up. And we kind of even alluded to is how do we look compared to other districts that X employees, if we don't have liability. Like, that would be something I'd be curious about, even though at this point, I don't think it really has any factor on really anything at this point. Really.
No, I can definitely look that up.
Thank you.
Okay, any evaluation?
Good job.
Thanks for them.
So the governor has extended the executive order for, what's that? No, there's still, so they extended the executive order for the online, the virtual meeting attendance till November 4th. If it's not extended after that point, what we'll have to do is figure out how legally we can have meetings and limit the number of people that are in this room, or relocate our meetings to another venue that will allow more people to attend. So that is on our radar, that we will be looking at that, to figure out how we can have a meeting with people in attendance. So November. Okay, so motion to go to executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive.
Right? Seconded. Dave, all in favor? 5-0. Exited executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the general meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the general meeting.
Second, Mr. Maselli, all in favor? 5-0.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.